Photography isn't just about capturing a moment, it's about immersing yourself in the atmosphere, feeling inspired by the world as it unfolds around you. The Ricoh GRIIIx, when set up thoroughly, allows you to do just that. Most of us think that a compact camera, even one as celebrated as the Ricoh GRIIIx, has its limits when it comes to night photography. I get it, I thought that too. But what if I told you that with the right approach and a bit of understanding, this little powerhouse can transform your night adventures into moments full of visual magic? Today, I will walk you through how to stab your Ricoh GR3 or Ricoh GRIIIx to make the most out of every night shadow, every flickering light, or every glimmer of night life. Let me show you how. The first step towards successful night photography is simplifying what you see on your screen. Why? Because night photography requires focus, presence, and clarity. I declutter my display so only the most essential information is visible: the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO. Now I can be fully connected to the scene around me because that's exactly where magic happens. Let's dive into how I customize the camera settings. The GR3X is unique in how it handles focus. I mainly use spot autofocus for scenes with clear contrast like neon signs or lit windows because it locks in quickly and accurately. But street photography at night isn't always predictable, and that's where snap autofocus comes in. It's all about instinct. You learn to judge distances like 1.5 or 2 meters depending on how you have set up your snap autofocus, and your muscle memory takes over. The more you use it, the more it becomes second nature. And for those rare tricky moments, I also have manual focus ready to go. Photography, especially at night, is about adapting to your surroundings. Sometimes this means using shutter speed priority mode, and some other times using full manual mode. In shutter speed priority, I would allow the camera to open up the aperture as wide as f2.8 to gather as much light as it can into the sensor. I will use a shutter speed between 1 to 60 and 1 to 125 for handheld static shots. But if I want to experiment with slow shutter speed to create nice motion blur and light trails, I will reduce my shutter speed more to 1 second or even further, but I will rest my camera on a static surface or on a small tripod. Experimenting like this can create images full of energy where the light dances and blurs, telling stories that you couldn't see otherwise. Stories about how the ordinary becomes extraordinary. And the Ricoh can provide this. If you are enjoying the video so far, hit the like button down below and consider subscribing with a bell. Now let's see what other features the camera has that can help us do better night photography. I also use features like dynamic range highlight correction to help prevent overexposure and keep the details in those bright city lights. When it comes to ISO, I adjust manually between 800 and 3400 or set it to auto with a max limit of 4000 depending on the scene. Sure, noise can creep in, but sometimes that grainy texture adds to the atmosphere. And if it doesn't, there is always Lightroom's AI denoise feature to clean it up. One of my favorite tools of the Ricoh is dual exposure mode, and I will always make sure to have it quickly accessible in one of the customizable buttons. With dual exposure mode, I can blend two moments into one image and add an extra layer of mystery and storytelling to my shots. And here is another example in which I'm combining dual exposure with long exposure. Specifically, in the first photo, I use a shutter speed of 1 second to capture the motion of the bus and create light trails. In the second shot, I turn the camera horizontal and frame the girl standing next to the traffic lights in the left third of the previous image. Now let's make a few key changes that will elevate your shooting experience and improve your final results. Always shoot in RAW. RAW images retain all the information and give you full creative freedom in post production. Keep your ND filter off unless you're doing long exposure shots during the day. There is no reason to have it on during the night. For night shots, shake reduction or IBIS is your best friend for static shots, but turn it off for those more creative techniques like panning or capturing motion. What about the sound effects? I set them to shutter only and at a low volume to stay discreet and blend into the night. For the same reason, I recommend disabling the autofocus assist light, because it can be distracting and it can give away your presence in the dark. Finally, I disable the power button lamp to keep the camera discreet and save some battery. When it comes to the Ricoh, I keep things simple. No overly complicated tricks or endless settings that promise extraordinary images, but they often just distract from the moment. I believe that real magic happens when you deeply understand your system and you work within its strengths. And with the Ricoh, I found those strengths time and time again. I remember one evening when I was able to capture this reflection shot. It was late and the streets had settled into a calm rhythm. The Ricoh was able to focus onto the silhouette of a man standing into a bar, framed by the glow of warm lights, while keeping the reflection of the street behind me sharp and clean. The Ricoh understood the scene and everything fell into place. Then there was the night I spent celebrating my friend's wedding in Italy. The air was full of joy and laughter, and during the festivities I found a chance to capture something unforgettable. A man wearing a hat stood in front of strings of beautiful lights, and those lights seemed to lead the eye across the scene straight to the people gathered on the balcony opposite us. This one is one of my favorite street-style images from that night. Of course, I took countless of images of my friends exchanging vows, laughing, celebrating, but these moments are kind of private to them and I want to keep it this way. But the magic didn't end there. The following night, local streets felt completely calm. The bustling energy of the wedding had given way to quiet, empty streets full of character. I wandered with my Ricoh that night, capturing the charm of this small Italian town, bathed in the soft glow of street lights, finding stories in the shadows and silence. This camera, simple as it may seem, has taught me that even a compact setup can create something extraordinary if you know how to work with what you have. If you found this video helpful, click the like button down below and subscribe with the bell. If you want to see my long-term impressions after shooting for 525 days with the Ricoh GRIIIx, click and watch this video next. That was all for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I will see you on the streets. Bye bye.